Whenever you've had a conversation, texted a friend, or given a business presentation, you have engaged in communication. Anytime two or more people get together to exchange messages, they are engaging in this basic process. Although it seems simple, communication is actually quite complex and has a number of components. Now, let us explore the elements of communication. According to Pearson and Nelson 2000, communication takes place through its basic elements: the people, messages, feedback, channels, code, encoding and decoding, and noise. The people.
People serve as both the sources and receivers of the message. The source is where the message comes from, and the receiver is the intended target. The characteristics of people may affect how they communicate and interpret the message, including their gender, age, culture, and values.
The message. This is the actual thought or sentiment that a source communicates to the receiver. Verbal messages use spoken words, while non-verbal messages uses facial expressions, posture, tone of voice, hand and body movements, gestures, touch, and other aspects of behavior.
Feedback. This is the receiver's reply or answer to the message of the source. It can also be taken the other way around as the source responds to the receiver. Like messages, feedback can also be verbal or non-verbal. However, it should be noted that feedback is not limited to the spoken response or an overt non-verbal indicator. Silence, the lack of response and doubtful look of the face of the receiver are all forms of feedback, according to Barkner and Guth 2002.
The channel. The person who is interested in communication has to choose the channel for sending the required information, ideas, etc. This information is transmitted to the receiver through certain channels, which may be either formal or informal.
Codes. Codes are symbols that are arranged in a systematic order to convey a certain message. Codes can either be verbal or non-verbal. Verbal codes portray the spoken words and their grammatical patterns. On the other hand, non-verbal codes are not spoken and include distance between the people communicating, movements and gesture, and even the clothes that a person wears.
Encoding and decoding. Encoding and decoding are two important activities in the communication process. Encoding involves turning thoughts or ideas into actual messages, and decoding involves interpreting the meaning of messages. The receiver makes sense of messages by turning them into concepts and ideas.
The communication process isn't always so simple or smooth. Of course, these elements can affect how information is transmitted, received, and interpreted.
Noise is anything that can interfere with how a receiver gets or interprets a message. It can make messages difficult to obtain or understand.
Let's have an example here. Brenda wants to remind her husband, Roberto, to stop by the store after work and buy milk for dinner. She forgot to ask him in the morning, so Brenda texts a reminder to Roberto. He texts back and then shows up at home with a gallon of milk under his arm. But something's amiss. Roberto bought chocolate milk when Brenda wanted regular milk. In this example, the sender is Brenda. The receiver is Roberto. The medium is a text message. The code is the English language they're using. And the message itself is, remember the milk. In this case, the feedback is both direct and indirect. Roberto is texted a photo of milk at the store and then came home with it. However, Brenda did not see the photo of the milk because the message didn't transmit, and Roberto did not think to ask what kind of milk.
You have now the idea of the basic elements of communication. Thank you for watching.